Lindsey Graham has made it clear that he is absolutely not, under any circumstances, going to comply with the subpoena issued to him by Fani Willis's special grand jury in the state of Georgia. And prosecutors, former prosecutors, and legal experts are already out there trashing Lindsey Graham's decision as quite possibly one of the dumbest things ever. Here is what Glenn Kirchner, former federal prosecutor, had to say about Lindsey Graham refusing to comply with the subpoena. Why is Lindsey Graham so desperate not to be placed under oath by a Georgia state grand jury and have to testify about all that? Well, looks like we have to go back to the Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. Because it sure looks like Lindsey went down to Georgia. He was looking for some votes to steal. He was in a bind because Trump was way behind, and he was willing to make a deal. So that's one theory put forth, of course, by a former prosecutor, Glenn Kirchner. He knows what he's talking about. He's done this for his entire life. So could be that Lindsey Graham is afraid of incriminating himself. Then, of course, you have former Solicitor General Neil Katyal, who says, referring to Lindsey Graham, this is all politics. Well, if it is all politics, and you know so much about the situation, Senator Graham, and you're so confident there's nothing of substance, then I'm sure you're eager to go and testify before the grand jury and comply with the subpoena. But of course he's not. He wants to try to block the subpoena. He's claiming it's some sort of separation of powers problem, which I guess is convincing if Lindsey Graham is trying to prove he has no business being on the Senate Judiciary Committee. So everybody's trashing Lindsey Graham for this idiotic decision. And Lindsey Graham deserves it, right? His legal team is trying to argue that as a sitting senator, he has some kind of limited immunity, which doesn't really apply in this case because this is not actually a matter that Senator Lindsey Graham, a senator from South Carolina, not from Georgia, would have any reason to be involved in. Right? The Judiciary Committee was not investigating this. They weren't looking into it. They weren't doing anything at all with it. So what was Lindsey Graham's interest in this? Other than, of course, being Donald Trump's lackey, making a phone call to his neighbor state saying, hey, it sure would be great if we could get a more favorable outcome, was the phrase he used in the phone call. That, of course, we have recordings of. And what's even funnier, by the way, about all of this with Lindsey Graham is that he's not a target of the investigation. They didn't subpoena him saying, come on in, we're going to try to get you to self-incriminate. It's like, hey, you're a witness. Like, you were with Trump. We want to know what you got. We want to know what you said, what he said, what you were told to do. Just tell us. We're looking for information on this guy, not on you. But Graham won't do it. And I am willing to bet that it's because Glenn Kirchner is in fact correct. And Graham is afraid that if he does go there, he could end up making himself a giant target of this grand jury. Thanks for watching. And if you like what you saw, don't forget to like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe to our Ring of Fire channel here.